Hey guys, it's Kusi. Before we start the first episode of our new journey, let me talk to you for a second. It's going to be a bit sentimental, so if you're not interested in that, you know that I put the timestamp down below for you to instantly go ahead and start the episode. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. For real. Thank you. May 22nd of last year was my first ever proper upload, and it started with the Vengeance Demon Hunter 0 to Hero. And as everything that's a beginning of something, it was horrible. So cringe in fact that I actually put it on private so none of you that's new to the channel will accidentally click on it and leave again. Disregarding, at the time of writing this, we are at a whooping 4,599 subscribers on the tuber, which is insane for a year from nothing, by the way. It's beyond the average channel growth, and it's even with content that is pretty much niche, even though WoW is still a big ass game. What I'm trying to say is, the reason why we were able to grow like this and make it happen is because you guys are so ridiculously supportive, and you got no idea how much I appreciate that. I mean, to be fair, I was ready to get absolutely stomped on in the comments, but besides one or two comments that were just really inappropriate, I don't really recall any negativity. It's insane. And don't get me wrong, I know that this amount of subscriber isn't game changing and we still got a long way to go. But the fact that this weird idea of making videos brought so much joy to so many people around the damn world is just fascinating to say the least. Not even to mention the instant support you guys showed on Twitch. I was so nervous before the first stream, and my coworker and I agreed to it would be big if 5 people show up. And all of a sudden, you blew any expectations out of the water.
Oh my god, I love it! I love it!
Alright, enough with the cheesy piano music. I wrap this up with another thank you very much, as well as the reminder that we are absolutely on the road to 10k subscribers. And without any further ado, enjoy the 0 to Hero on a spec that I only played in Wrath, where it still was considered a tank. Also, feel free to give me tips, as this spec is very foreign to me. But don't call me a muppet. Oh man, one day I will be the hero of this land. I'ma get some chicks, some meat, and good brew. And all I need to do for that is...
How about you make yourself useful? There's a threat to the southeast called Hogger. He terrorizes the farmers and they asked for help.
Toddler? They are afraid of a child?
It's Hogger. And he's a giant mean gnoll that feast upon the farmers' cows.
You sure you're not talking about my mother-in-law? Okay, I take care of it. Jeffrey? To the edge of the forest, southeast. Which one of your filthy inbreds is the one they call Clogger? Are you Slobber? Are you Nogger?
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
Come here, boy!
Let's do it, bitch boy. Ah, shit. What happened? Where am I? Who the hell are you?
Your will is not your own.
Oh, you just say this because I'm black?
Slay all who oppose us.
Hell yeah, baby! In the name of the hood! Now before you think, oh Kusi, you're only playing meta classes, hold your horses. First of all, the Frosty Cake got decided via a marble run that we did on stream, which you can check out by the way. We are live Sundays and Mondays usually. And believe it or not, Frosty Cake is not that popular. Matter of fact, it's not only the least played DK spec, it's also on the lower end of population alongside all melee classes. But, be that as it may, we are used to putting non-desired specs on the map, and I'm very excited about this one. I will tell you why later. But first, we go over the rules of this journey, as this is still a 0 to Hero type series. So the obvious first one, there's no connection to any other character through Raid.io. Also, there will be no external gold for crafting. We only can use what we got and make gold the old-fashioned way, being it via world quests, events, or call to arms. Rule number 3, no use of friend list. And you can be ensured that works, cause when someone of my friend list applies to a key, I see a little icon popping up that will notify me. Also, I don't like to cheat in general, so you have to trust me on that one. Now, the next one is skills. And this is a topic where I go a different route than other creators. I give my chance to join a guild simply for the social aspect of it alone. I will make sure to not get boosted, but I highly advise you guys to join guilds in general. The community is the biggest part of the game. And I'd say, to spice things up a little bit, instead of going for the Keystone Hero achievement that pops up at 2.5k rating, I'd say we do a full portal run. All 8 dungeons must be timed at +10 to finish this journey. Now, with all the rules being cleared and the goal in mind, let's start to gear up so we can show them what's good. When hitting 60, we rock an item level of 346, which is slightly too low to potentially make a move. But because a few Bliss employees finally started to play the game themselves, we got an insane amount of events to boost up an item level real quick. First was the assault on the Dragonbane Keep, which is insanely fast if you do it in the beginning of the week. Takes barely minutes to finish the run, insane. Then I flew over the feast just to figure out it's not up.
Oh really? That sucks.
After that, I decided to do some world quests, since a few of those also drop some nice gear for now. Then I killed Firak's ugly spawn, which name no German ever could pronounce, just to fly over to the world boss, and then back to the Suffusion Camp event to gather a crate. And all of that before the feast was up, or so I thought. Because the feast actually comes around every 3 hours, meaning we got another hour to spend. So I went over to the Time Rift event and completed the hunt, just to boost the item level up to 453. The only bad items we still had were a cloak and a necklace. Everything else is at least current item level, if that makes sense, and I was so ready to bust when I saw this bad boy. 461 baby. Now we can do heroics, which we did, one of them, Dragonflight, and boy was this blessed. Not only did we get a ring, we also sniped ourselves the Tuska bone necklace from this lovely druid,
2,
just to also loot yet another item, a headpiece.
3.
4 bosses, 3 items gained. That's how gamer girls must feel when raiding, man. 474 is the new item level, but I wasn't done here. Yet first, because this is week 5 and we got 5 charges of the catalyst already, I decided to turn 2 of my items into tier set right away. LFR was next in order to receive a juicy raid item token coin thingy for future best in slot purchases. And after doing some more world quests, like the Researcher Under Fire or whatever it's called, and finishing the LFR, we bought our first 2 new items from the vendor for the just received raid item token coin thingies. Yet before you go apeshit and start to throw poop around in frustration, let me explain. I did a bit of research, and when I say that, I simply mean I looked over the first 10 or 15 FrostyK gamers on Raid.io. Almost all of them went with the Ashes of Ember Souls, which makes total sense. It's a 2-minute cooldown that pairs perfectly with either Empower Rune Weapon, which we will use in any build regardless, or even Breath of Sindragosa for even more pew pew. And because I haven't yet fully decided if I either play the 2-handed Obliteration or the 1-handed Breath build, I thought going with decent trinkets first is a smart call. So the second item I went for was Call to Suffering. Insane stat boost whenever we take damage, and if you know me, you know I'll take damage non-stop baby, so this is our trinket for sure. But at this point, I was bored and done with the chores of gearing, so I decided to aim for some Mythic 0 runs in order to chase a new head, shoulder, or a handpiece to get myself a 4-set ASAP. And I started with Ruby Life Pools, which doesn't drop any of those. Yet because I'm lacking one-handed, I currently rock the 2-handed Obliteration build to start with. I also quickly made a macro to combine Ashes with my Empower Rune Weapon, which by the way is a really annoying cooldown to call out for, but that didn't work as much. Well, it did work, but the tooltip was a bit scuffed. Been playing since vanilla by the way. Yet, so you, that also never played this class, can understand what's going on, let me give you a real quick idea of what's happening. DK rocks with runes and runic power. You use abilities that cost runes to generate runic power, and then use runic power to use different abilities. So far so good. What I did so far is, I start with Remorseless Winter because this is an aura around you, and the reason why I start with it is because Gathering Storm increases the damage done by every rune used. And then I use Obliterate to generate runic power and Rhyme whenever this little proc happens to make it free. Our spenders in this build are Frost Strike, that's a single target blow, and Glacial Advance, that sends out little frozen spikes in a straight line. Our cooldowns rely on Pillar of Frost, which is a 1-minute ability that also gets slowed by 2 seconds for every critical strike from Obliterate or Frost Strike. Then we got Frostbomb's Fury. This is a 90-second cooldown since we use Absolute Zero, and it stuns all targets by 3 seconds. Though the stun is a bit of a bait, it does some mad damage and had crits over 700k for me so far. So surely a 1-minute hit is not too far away. Anti-annoyingly to speak out loud, Empower Rune Weapon. 2-minute cooldown that grants us 15% haste, a rune and some runic power at use, as well as every 5 seconds for an overall of 20 seconds. Those are just some basic guidelines, as I am very far away from making an actual guide of this class. However, the core idea that I understood so far seems very enjoyable to me. And you can see, the numbers aren't too bad either. And even the single target isn't too bad for now. But surely I messed up a lot. Let's hope this will change soon, cause otherwise this frozen Lord of the Dead becomes nothing but a mere refrigerator. Yet because Ruby Life Pools had no tier set pieces for me anyways, I wasn't mad when I didn't get any item at all. And so I quickly checked upon the dungeon to figure out that Halls of Infusion in fact drops both a helmet and hands. Perfect. So I quickly gathered a gang of insane gamers and a tank that needed more P-breaks than a 12-year-old on a long road trip. Let's do it. We started the run and waited. First boss didn't drop my hands, so we continued and waited. Second boss down, and because I can see the druid running with me, I assume we are good to go. Yet he kept waiting.
Bruh.
Granted, you never know. Maybe there's something going on in his life, maybe a baby, or a cat running wild, so I wasn't mad at all. It is not an M+ run after all. And with that, we took down the second best frost guy in this dungeon to receive our headpiece. Last boss had nothing, and so we went outside to gather our 4 set. Yes, you heard correctly, 4 set. Because in the Researchers Under Fire event from earlier, I did in fact receive some shoulders that I also could convert, and here we are. Now let's talk about the set piece for a hot second, cause this one sounds insanely nice and synergizes with itself. While our 2 set increases the damage of Howling Blast by 20% flat, it also lets every used Rhyme proc, which is the free Howling Blast, stack a 5% increased damage buff to our next Frostworm's Fury. But it also lets Pillar of Frost, which is our low CD damage buff, summon the Frostworm's Fury from Wish to deal 30% of its damage. Quite a big 2 set already, but the 4 set is where it's at. Every target hit by Frostworm's Fury gets 20% increased critical damage taken from us. I flipping love it. Now then, at a level of 486 in a day of catch-up, as well as 4 set due to the awesomeness of the catalyst, let's do a key. And our first key will be Azure Vault +2. And because I'm a sucker for this spec already, I got myself a crafted weapon in order to try out dual wield with Breath of Sindragosa. To give you a quick idea of how this works. Breath, another 2-minute cooldown, pretty much drains your runic power and will continue to do damage until you're running empty of that said runic power. So my idea was to quickly stack up some RP and then send it. After that, I only press Obliterate and Howling Blast whenever Rhyme is going on. I also would have Horn of Winter to my disposal, but I didn't put it in my interface, since I pretty much just copied this build from Icy Veins. Like a true 3.5k main. And by pure luck, this Giga tank pulls the entire first room, so I sent it. Damage is looking nice, and it would have looked even better if I didn't use both stacks of Empower Rune Weapon instantly. Rookie gamer mistake. Yet I quickly could tell that this spec doesn't feel so good outside of breath windows, so I'm going to assume this is going to be viable on higher keys where stuff lives long enough for you to keep it up for a minute or so. Now, 2 things on the first boss were a bit unlucky. First, I didn't have my 2-minute cooldown up because I used it to kill the trash around the boss. The second is that out of pure greed I decided to stay in the stomp and then proceeded to clip the tank with my explosive brand. And usually, the DPS loses this one. Damage didn't look too bad at the point of dying, so I'll take it. On the way to the second boss, I was ready to blow this frozen load of joy again, and as I was getting myself ready, couldn't have said it better. Yet on the final boss, I didn't have my cooldowns ready at first, which was probably a good thing, since it meant that I got the breath rolling on the first set of shards. And as expected, we made quick work of the boss and the dungeon itself, for our first +2, our first 148 rating, and our first time getting humbled by the tank. Unlucky. I will continue to grind out gear for breath in the future, and I will continue to loot for frost spec, so maybe I get good one-handers along the way. But I reckon for now, Obliteration is the go-to for me. Yet with this, we end our first episode of the adventure of our Fab Night. From 346 to 486 along with the 4 set doesn't seem too shabby. So as always, I wish you the most fantastic day whenever you see this. Thank you for watching. Until I see you in the next one. Take care.